still in the book of Job, chapter 35, and Elihu is about ready to give his third speech. Now the other friends that had come, the three friends, had all given three speeches, and Job had responded to all of them. I guess he felt like he was entitled, having waited all of that time to speak out. Although he seems to be addressing Job, he also is addressing the three friends. And as he addresses Job, he's hoping that they're listening in, because he's going to tell both them and Job and his friends what he has to say, as we find in verses 4 through 7. Is your righteousness more than God's? He says to Job. And you say, I'm doing better than someone who sins, and yet I'm experiencing all of this calamity and all of these troubles. I couldn't have any more trouble if I had sinned. You know what's coming next, don't you? Might just as well not have stayed righteous, might just as well have sinned, but that is not spoken here, but it's implied. And then Elihu says, I'll answer you and your friends. Look to the heavens. Look to see how high the clouds are. If you're righteous, how do you help God? If you're unrighteous, or if you've sinned, how do you hurt God? It's an interesting question. Does it really hurt God when we sin? Does it really help God when we're righteous? Well, technically, yes, but in general, no. What Putin is doing now is not hurting God. And if he were to be righteous, he wouldn't be helping God. God's above all of that. And Elihu goes on and says, your wickedness is against man and against yourself, and your righteousness is the same way, for yourself and for others. Well, it's partially true, obviously. And because you're oppressed, you cry out. You cry out for help from God. And because you don't hear anything, even though everybody else knows there's a God, and he's the one that has taught man and beast, it's clear God exists. And yet you say just because you don't hear him, that you don't behold him. How much less then when you say you don't behold him? How much does that matter? Well, it's an insult to God, because you know he's there, even though you don't behold him. Well, it's really quite interesting, because Elihu says, you say so much in the cases before him, and you must wait for an answer. It's good counsel. When God says yes or no, it's wonderful. But when he says wait, we don't care for it too much. And so we look at this response from Elihu, and he winds up with the verse 14 with the point, the cases before him, you must wait. You don't need to just keep on beating your gums, because what you're doing is speaking without real understanding of God and who he is. Now, how do we apply this to our lives? Elihu has charged Job with the reasoning that you might just as well sin, because obviously it's not going to hurt God to sin, and it's not going to help God to be righteous. Well, that's not really true. You see, there's a certain amount of satisfaction, obviously, that God has when someone is righteous, and a certain amount of righteous anger when people sin. A long time ago, I used an illustration in church about how I remember my father always making me brush my teeth. Now, why did he do it? Well, he didn't do it for him. It didn't help his teeth at all. He did it for me when he told me to brush my teeth, because he knew the pain of going to the dentist. He knew the problems of having teeth that ached and hurt. And he was really doing it for me. The same thing's true of us being righteous for God. It's not for God. It's for us. He wants us to have life and have it abundantly. And when we do the things that we ought to do, it's fulfilling to us. It's joyful to us. And when we stop doing the things that he tells us to stop doing, it keeps us out of trouble and guilt and shame. You see, it's not for him. And so Elihu was right in some respects in the fact that he said, Job, when you're bad, it doesn't hurt God. It hurts you. It hurts others around you. When you're good, it doesn't help God. It helps you, because that's the right way to live. And it helps not only you, but those around you. See, Elihu had it almost perfect, but not quite, because obviously God is pleased when we're righteous, and he is obviously displeased when we're sinful. Nevertheless, I think Elihu had a good point to make to Job. Then he says very carefully, we need to think about the second thing that we can learn and apply to our own lives. And that is, if we cry out and he doesn't answer, it doesn't mean he's not there. It just may mean that we have to wait. Wait for him to reveal to us why we're going through what we're going through. Ron Dunn wrote a book, and in that book he said, stop asking God why and start asking God what next. It's a good answer and a good question for all of us. But verse 14 kind of sums up this whole chapter. Your case is before him. When you're going through trials and tribulations, he knows. Sometimes you just have to wait. And sometimes that wait may go all the way till when you're in heaven, and he may explain it by and by then. Nevertheless, he has a reason for his silence. Sometimes he says yes. Sometimes he says no. Sometimes he just says wait. And sometimes he doesn't seem to answer, but that doesn't mean he's not there. And that's my thought for the day. God bless you and have a great day.